Thanks for joining us for our first Instagram Live.
Woo!
I'm here with podcast and multimedia producer Lauren Brown.
Hey, everybody.
Host of our newest podcast, Shades of the City, which launches tomorrow.
So be ready.
Yes. So before we dig into Shades, Lauren, could you tell us a little about yourself?
Yes, so my name is Lauren Brown. I'm originally from the south suburbs of Chicago. Matson is a suburb about 30 minutes away. And so I attended the University of Missouri in Columbia. I graduated with a degree in journalism. And I worked at NPR before this, coming here. And I'm really excited to, bring my passion for storytelling to Chicago and kind of be able to tell the stories of the people here.
Yes, fantastic. So as host of Shades of the City, tell us a little bit about the series.
Yes, so this first season is all about Chicago, its culture, its history, the people, what they love, and what they love about Chicago. Our very first episode, which drops tomorrow, features Sherman Dilla Thomas, who is a viral TikTok Chicago historian. If you've been on TikTok or Twitter or Instagram, you've probably seen him or heard his voice, and I was really excited about that. I was able to actually go to his home in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood and talk to him about, his life, how he learned about Chicago history and what he loves about the city. And so that first episode I'm really excited about, which drops tomorrow.
Great. So what goes into creating a podcast like this? Where do you even start?
Yes, so you have to first start with a really good idea. And I think I've always been very passionate about community storytelling and, just community and culture. And so thinking about Chicago has a lot of different things that are culture-based. It's very diverse. You can go across different areas in the city and learn about different people. And so being from Chicago and wanting to learn about places that I may not have been to, I think I bring that love for the city, but also inquisitiveness about, what's going on, what can I learn, what can I teach people, what can I educate people on. And so first it starts with having that great idea, just being excited about the stories that you're going to be able to tell, and then also finding the folks that, are ready to tell their story, that are open and willing, and figuring out how to plan that out. Start with brainstorming, planning out a season. So I thought of a season idea, and this first season is called This is Chicago. And I came up with that just because it's all about Chicago and those people that bring so much to the city. And so having that great idea, brainstorming, planning it out, episode ideas, deciding who you want to talk to, if you can go out and talk to them, if you want to go in the field, if you want to bring them to the studio, all of those different things go into that, that planning stage. And then all it takes from there is, moving forward and putting it together, making sure you have all of your equipment, making sure that you are, emailing and staying in touch with people, using social media. Social media is a big thing now, and so just making sure that you can reach to those folks. And I think this season I'm really excited because, like Sherman told me, being able to go into the community and actually speak to the people and allow the people to tell their story is very exciting, because oftentimes they don't get to tell their own stories, and so I'm really excited about that.
That's great. You mentioned Sherman being your first guest on episode 1, which launches tomorrow. What are some of the other interesting folks you got in touch with, talked with, featured on this season?
Yes, so I'm also excited about another episode which talks about the history and culture of Johnson Publishing Company, which worked on Ebony and Jet magazine. And I was able to talk to some former editors of Ebony and Jet. One of them is actually the dean of the Northwestern Medill School of Journalism right now. And he talked a lot about just the impact that Jet and Ebony had on Black culture, Black life, and, having a print media company that was able to show them themselves. And when I thought about it, I just said, I remember seeing those magazines on coffee tables. My grandma still has some. I even went to her house and talked to her about it. So that's an interesting thing that will be in that episode that I'm excited about. But just being able to discuss something that impacted me but also impacted others, and it happened right here in Chicago, so it makes it even better. Another episode I'm really excited about focuses on Robbins, Illinois, which is a south suburb area not too far from here. and it's home to a couple of Tuskegee Airmen, home to the first black airport, and also home to Dwayne Wade, Keke Palmer, and all these other great people. S.B. Fuller, the first black multimillionaire. And so just being able to go there and learn about the history of that area that a lot of people may not know about. A lot of people think Chicago and they don't think about the things that are kind of outside in the Chicagoland area. And so being able to bring that story to life is going to be really important, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, I think of the episodes previews I've heard so far, the Johnson Publishing Company is one of my favorites.
Yes.
I really like the guests you talk to, and just learning about the city. I mean, Chicago is just a fantastic city. It's full of history and vibrance. So I stay tuned. Make sure you listen to episode 1, obviously tomorrow, but make sure you're subscribed because it's just going to get better and better.
It's going to be better and better. Yeah.
What are some of your ideas for Shades of the City moving forward? I know you said season 1 is This Is Chicago. You've got a great lineup of really interesting folks, but do you imagine this going into a second season? What are you thinking?
Yes, so I already have an idea for season 2. That's just me. I'm always thinking 10, 20 steps ahead. I have an idea for season 3. But with this first season being, This Is Chicago, I want the second season to be about the actual people and digging in even deeper on people that are outside making a difference. So those change makers, those educators, people that are on the ground, whether it's providing resources, whether they're, working on environmental justice, whether they're working on the unhoused, helping the unhoused, working on providing, food to the homeless, like just going in and speaking to people that are actually putting in that change making work. And so I think season 2 will be all about the people. Season 1 is all about Chicago and its culture in general, and then I think season 2 is actually having a spotlight on people and the individuals and why they do what they do, how passionate they are about it, why do they continue to do that work, and why is it important to do that work in the city that they love. And so I have ideas for the next few seasons. You know me, I tell you all the time, I'm like, I'm so excited, I want to do this and that. And so I'm just really excited to, talk to these folks, go into the community, and kind of show them, that WBBM wants to tell these stories. They want to talk to these people. They want to go in and make sure that people are being able to tell their stories. And so I'm so excited that I'm a part of that.
That's great. So for people who may not know, podcasting is kind of a new department or a new team here at WBBM. So we've been kind of starting from the ground up, and I think Shades of the City is a very ambitious first podcast. So I've been eagerly awaiting the launch, which again, for those who may have tuned in a little later, it's tomorrow. You can find us on Shades of the City podcast on the Audacy app or Apple Podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter, WBBM Podcast, to keep in touch as we kind of expand the podcast team. And also for those who may not be super familiar with podcasting, Shades of the City, it was researched, scripted. All the interviews were done by Lauren. I mean, Lauren built this entire series out, produced it by herself. I think that's really exciting. So something you spoke with me about before is podcasting and radio as a very exciting medium for telling these stories. Do you have any thoughts about being able to share Shades of the City through podcasting?
Yeah. I think podcasting just gives you more room, more space to grow and expand. Just being able to do it my way, and having the support of this station and the support of this company to be able to go out and tell these diverse stories. Podcast is just such a great medium for that. Just thinking about being able to, expand. Radio, you have, that broadcast clock, you have this time, you have to hit this point, you have only so much time to say what you need to say. And I think with podcasting, it's up to your own discretion, whether you want it to be an hour long, 30 minutes, 45, it's up to your own discretion. And I think being able to tell these stories and not feel like, I have to leave so much tape on the floor, what makes the best story. of course you might have to leave some things out, but I think with podcasting, it allows for the person to tell their story in a more authentic way. And also, just being able to tell it, do a narrative storytelling type of podcast. A lot of podcasts are chat style, or, I would just, sit and talk with someone like we're doing here. But I think with Shades of the City, because I'm actually writing the script and telling a story through the conversation, I think it gives it a unique twist. So I'm really excited about it. I think that the other folks are excited about it. When I go out and tell them what we're doing, they're like, oh, Shades of the City, like I'm going to make sure that I, tell people about it, because, a lot of people don't come into these areas and talk to us. A lot of people don't come and try to allow us to tell their story. And so for me, it's not so much about Lauren, but about the people and about their stories. And so I'm always passing the mic to them. And I think that's what makes it really unique.
Yeah, I love the narrative form that podcasting allows. It's not just going to be an hour-long interview. You press play, you hear two people talking, and it closes. No, it's going to have different elements. It's going to have immersive sound. I know a little sneak peek into tomorrow's episode. There's going to be some of Sherman's TikTok.
Right.
TikTok audio. You mentioned in a future episode, the Johnson Publishing Company episode, there's moments of you with your grandmother as she kind of flips through some of her old Jet and Ebony magazines.
Right.
So I think podcasting is such an intimate medium. It's very immersive. It's like this. It's not radio. It's a sister to radio, and I think if you haven't tried podcasts, if you haven't listened, now's the perfect time.
Yes, it is.
Tune in to Shades of the City. Is there anything else you want to share about your work?
Yeah, I think that, like I said earlier, it's all about me passing the mic to them. But I think the interesting part about me as a host for this show is that, like I said, I'm from here, but also it's a lot of things that I don't know. And I think me going out and going into these places and learning along with the audience, I think that makes for an even better show. Like, I think that makes it so unique, because a lot of times you can hear me just talking to them and saying, wow, like I didn't know that, or I'm going out and I'm learning. I didn't know that a few Tuskegee Airmen were from Robbins, Illinois. Like, I didn't know that. I didn't know the first black airport was there. And just being able to learn that stuff and go around. I spent over 3 hours there. Like, we sat there and we talked. We walked along the museum. They have a history museum there, Robbins History Museum. If you get a chance, you should go and check it out. It's really interesting. And the person who works there is a great historian. Like, he grew up there. He's from there. He's been there a long time. And so I think just that passion and that drive, being able to show people that there are people out there that really love where they're from and love, the life and the time that they spent in this city and in the surrounding areas. And so I think for Shades, not just only about Chicago, but the Chicagoland area, we don't want to forget, the suburban areas, and that's culture as well. That's a part of it as well. And so I'm excited about that. But I want to know what you're excited about, because we work so closely together, and I know you tell me all the time, but I think just hearing from you, from some of the stuff that you heard already, what are you excited about with Shades?
Yeah, I've mentioned before that I'm most excited about the Johnson Publishing Company episode. I've heard some drafts of it.
Yeah.
I love, like you said, being able to follow you, or like be in your pocket as you're talking to these interesting folks, hearing from them and learning from them. I love your insights on what you've learned. I love like being like a little mouse in your pocket, like listening in on all these cool moments.
Yeah.
I also really love, and this is where our social media pages come in, that there may be like some behind the scenes moments, some bonus content. I know you have photographs of your grandmother's Jet and Ebony magazines.
Right.
And so I would encourage everyone listening, if you can come over and subscribe to our social media pages. Lauren has cultivated some really interesting stuff that kind of is married to the content. I just love the long form. I love your hosting style. And so far, every episode I've heard has taught me something new. and is just captivating. So great work.
Thank you.
I have chills thinking about tomorrow.
I know,
me
too. I'm excited. And like you said, the photos and actually being able to go out in the field. You know, this podcast isn't just we're sitting and talking all the time in the studio or on Zoom. Of course, with everything that's going on, some of them have to be that way, but I did put in that extra work to make sure that I can go to these museums, that I can go in the community, that we can walk around and have a real conversation where they can, you know, be themselves, they can relax, they can be in their element. And I think taking the time to do that for people, to be able to tell their stories in their comfort of their home or comfort of their space of work or the things that they do, I think that really makes for an even better conversation. But also the photos, I go out there with the camera, I make sure that I take pictures, I make sure that I get pictures from people, because I want people to see, to visually see the things that we're talking about. And I think that also, you know, makes Shades of the City great.
Do you find, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, that you're passing the mic to the people, you're passing the mic to people who may not have gotten an opportunity or platform to share their story. Do you find that the people you talk to are very eager to talk to you?
Yes.
What's that like, kind of getting into the
Yes, I think so, because when I reach out to people, I think it's all about just my passion for it and the whole idea of Shades of the City. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about one person. It's not about one thing. Like, it's about everybody. It's about community. It's about culture. It's about connectedness. And I think people can feel that when I reach out to them and I ask, you know, I would love to be able to talk to you about this thing that you're doing. And they feel comfortable and they're excited that someone wants to, you know, talk about what they're working on. And I think even going back to Sherman at the end of that episode, here's another sneak peek. He kind of talks about that, just being able to meet people where they are. And I think a lot of times people don't have that option. And so being able to go out and actually meet them where they are to, you know, make a more vulnerable, authentic conversation. They don't necessarily put on airs, you know, having to feel uncomfortable in the space. You know, I kind of build that relationship from the ground up and build it before we even sit down and have a conversation. And so I think that really makes people really excited for Shades of the City. And, you know, I learn a lot from them. They'll tell me about something else that somebody's working on. I think you should talk to this person, or I think you could learn about this. You know, it's so much history here, so much culture that I'll never get, you know, tired of talking about it, or I'll never have nothing to say, you know?
I think, too, when thinking about podcast as a mode of storytelling, I started listening to podcasts at a time when I couldn't go out and do things and see things, and, you know, I was very busy, or I had to stay indoors, or, you know, what have you. And I think that's really speaks to the time that we're in. I mean, there's still people that want to enjoy content, they want to learn, but maybe they don't have the time, they don't have the resources to go out and do it themselves. So, yeah, I think podcasting gives you that opportunity to follow you along, to learn something, whether you're on your commute, whether you're at your desk, cooking a meal. Like, podcast is just a very special medium. If you'd like, can we take some audience questions?
Okay, we're going to take some audience questions.
Let's see.
How did the participants feel about using podcasts as the storytelling medium? Okay, so yes, so most of the people that I talked to were really excited about that, actually. Some people didn't know necessarily what podcasting actually was or meant, but once I told them, you know, where you can find it is on Audacy app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, all of these different platforms that, you know, it can last forever. I think people are really excited about that, and just to, you know, be on something different, you know. We also just have more conversations, and I think podcasting, because it's new for a lot of people, they're excited about it, and they want to know, and they want to get the chance to actually work on something like that. And so I think that's really what people are looking forward to.
That's great.
When are the episodes aired? Yes, so this first episode drops tomorrow, March 11th, and then they come out every other Friday. They will drop every other Friday on the Audacy app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Great.
Oh, how can people listen to this new podcast? Yes. So you can listen on the Audacy app. Just search Shades of the City, or you can go on Apple Podcasts, Shades of the City, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, pretty much all of the podcast platforms. Just type in Shades of the City and you'll be able to find it. If not, do Shades of the City and also put WBBM Newsradio and it should pop up.
Great. I want to plug again our social media pages.
Yes.
If you're ever need a reminder about new content, new podcast dropping, when does the episode come out, or you want to see some of that behind the scenes content, some of those pictures, special moments, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is at WBBM Podcasts.
Yes, podcast plural.
Yes, correct. Because we have plans.
Yes, we have plans. We have plans. You'll see us. You'll see me. You'll see Jill. We're going to be doing a lot in this upcoming, summer, spring.
Yes.
A lot of things are happening. Jill is working on something great that I cannot tell you about yet, but she is working on something great as well. So I'm really excited for her. I'm really excited for, what the department is working on, and excited for you all to get to hear it and to get to share in this journey with us. So we're really excited about that.
Yes. Well, thank you, everyone,
Thank you
for joining us. I really hope you listen, whether you're a longtime podcast listener or someone who's completely new to podcasts. I think Shades of the City is the perfect podcast for you, and we hope you enjoy tomorrow.
Yes, tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tomorrow, our first episode drops featuring Sherman De La Thomas, the viral Chicago TikTok historian. So I'm really excited about it. And DM us. You follow us, just subscribe to what we're doing because we're really excited and we want the community to get involved. So Thank you.
Thank you.